It's Super Videos back at you for another video. This is going to be the review for Season 7, Episode 1 of The Walking Dead, titled The Day Will Come When You Won't Be. So where do I even begin? At a loss for words, even though we knew the spoilers out there and we kind of guessed what was going to happen. At least the deaths themselves, but oh my god, that was very emotional, and I'm at a loss for words, really. I don't know what to say, but bravo to Scott M. Gimple, Greg Nicotero for this episode. It was very artistic, it was very emotional, it was very well done, and I would say it did justify the cliffhanger to an extent for me. I loved the artistic way of how they explored the idea of what happened and what could have happened, and had Rick kind of remember what actually happened instead of actually seeing it live. That brought in the emotion as well and made it 10 times more gruesome and emotional as it would have been. Also, the idea that, breaking Rick, and, the first part of it where Negan took Rick with the RV to the location with the burning logs. I loved Negan's dialogue there, how he was saying, you gotta remember what happened and what could happen. And it was crazy how we actually got flashes of others dying as well, getting Lucille as well, through Rick, and it was just crazy. And then let's get to the most shocking moment when we come back and we actually get to see the eeny, meeny, miny, mo scene. I loved how they did it through Rick's eyes. I thought that was a very nice touch, and it was very artistic and yet very disturbing and tough to watch. And then once he actually lands on Abraham, oh my god, that was crazy. And it does make sense that Abraham would take it like a champ, and we did predict that and we were right. And then Abraham gets it, and it's gruesome as hell. It's very tough to watch. Negan's humor coming out after he kills Abraham, because Abraham says, suck my nuts, and Negan is making fun of him. It's like it's some sort of game. It's some sort of joke for Negan. And it's in the comics, it didn't come out like this, but in the show, it's just sickening and sadistic. Very sadistic. I didn't get that vibe in the comic book, not to this extent, but it was very sadistic. And once Abraham is basically dead, we have Negan kind of rubbing it in their face and telling Rosita, because he actually does find out that they were together, Abraham and Rosita, so he brings the bat with the blood in front of Rosita's face and says, look at it. And I was very amazed, and it was just tough to watch that point as well, because you could see the fear. You could feel the fear in Rosita's eyes, and you could feel the pain, and you just wanted her to, do something, punch Negan, even though, that's a stupid idea, but you wanted someone to just do something, and obviously Daryl does, and it's very costly what he does, and it's almost unredeemable for his character, in my opinion. But it's something I think anyone would have done at that point, and it's just a matter of not letting emotions get the best of you. And man, oh man, did Daryl let his emotions get the best of him, and it proved to be very deadly. Not for him, but for someone as pure as Glenn, as lovable as Glenn. Obviously, Negan says someone has to pay. I'm a man of my words, and I have to do this. Even apologizing to Maggie for what he has to do. And he just smashes Glenn in the head, and he does it in a surprising way, because he's looking the other way, and he just turns around and smashes him in the head, and it's just gruesome. there's just that one scene right after he gets hit the first time and he says Maggie and he's trying to speak and he's saying something along the lines of, I'm going to find you or I love you or something. I couldn't make out what he was saying, but I was very close to crying at that moment because it was just very emotional. Negan spits out his comic book dialogue right after he kills Glenn in the comic book, and then we go from there. He just beats Glenn to death, and there it is. We have Abraham dead, Glenn dead, and everyone's in shock at this point, and everyone's just crying their eyes out, and they wonder how this night could get worse. Or could it get worse? And it's crazy, right? Before that happens, I forgot this. Dwight is just like, let me kill him, Negan, let me kill Daryl. And then Negan says, no, you have to earn this. You have to earn the chance to get to kill someone like this. And that's just sadistic in my opinion. That's just crazy. And I don't even know how, comic spoilers by the way, just for this little bit, I don't know how Dwight can redeem himself now. Or can he even? Because of that moment, what he said in that moment. And maybe they can redeem him. Obviously, there's a lot of things they could do to make Dwight be a lovable character and redeem his character. But that one line really got me. Rick is still not broken. Still not broken. So Negan says put a gun to everyone's head and bring Carl forward and basically forces Rick to cut Carl's arm off. And the way he even speaks about it, he's like, make it clean, make it, no mess. It's just crazy, it's sadistic, and I just can't find a word to explain it exactly. And then my hat's off to Andrew Lincoln. His performance at that moment is perfect. He deserves an Oscar, an Emmy, something. He deserves an award for that performance because it was insanely well done and very realistic, and you could feel his character's pain through every word he said. And then Negan pushes Rick, pushes him to a point where Rick is just done. And Carl obviously tells Rick, do it, Dad, just do it. And he doesn't blame his father. He knows what's happening. And then as Rick is about to cut Carl's left arm off, Negan stops it, and he now knows that he has truly broken Rick. He leaves them the car to get his stuff, and they leave. And then I love the part where they're all coming together after the death. They're all gone, the body's on there. Everyone's in shock. No one can move, no one can say anything. And Maggie's the first person who gets up and goes towards Glenn and says, we have to go to war with these people. We have to beat them. We have to make them pay. And Rick, he has now come to his senses. He knows they can't do anything. They have an army. They have so many people. They now have Daryl as leverage. And there's nothing they can do. And, Maggie's just mourning. And she can't believe her eyes. And she just wants to go to war and fight Negan. And I love how everyone comes together, says we're going to get Glenn and Abe to the hilltop to bury them, and then the rest are going to go back and we're going to think of something to do. If we're not thinking clearly right now, we need to think about this. We need to think what to do. And I love how Sasha and Rosita kind of talked together and kind of shared their mourning together in a way, and I loved that. At the end, when Rick is leaving, of course, Scott and Gimple and Nick Zero have to do something to make us cry even more because they have the walkers eating the remaining of Glenn and Abe's smashed in heads. And I looked down at that point, I just couldn't handle that moment because it's so emotional. And then they leave, and obviously we have another of Negan's dialogues saying that it's not safe anymore. It's not what you thought anymore. You can't just sit around a dinner table and be safe. And then we have the dream sequence that's been rumored. Then, we see Glenn, we see Abe, we see baby Herschel. We see everyone at the dinner table. And it just added to the emotion and made us feel for these characters 10 times more. Rest in peace, Glenn Rahe and Abraham Ford. You will be missed, even though we kind of knew for a while now that this was probably going to happen. It was tough to watch still, and these characters will definitely be missed. I'm going to be doing my promo breakdown for the next episode, season 7, episode 2. That's going to be coming up in a couple hours. But in terms of rating, I would give this episode a very high rating. I would probably say high grade. It was one of those episodes that you can go back to it in 5-10 years and watch it and still love it and feel the emotion as if it just happened. And that's the characteristics of a masterpiece, in my opinion, and I believe this was a masterpiece. It was very well written, very well done. Even though it was leaked, it still made us feel the pain, and I just loved it. Again, rest in peace, Glenn Rahe and Abraham Ford. You will be missed. Abraham's one-liners, and that's something I forgot to mention as well. Even in that last moment where he's about to go, he gives out this one-liner. And it just makes us feel it even more, because we're like, oh no, we can't have Abraham's one-liners anymore, and he's going to be gone. And I thought that was a very nice touch as well. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.